Hello, everyone. My name is Masih Alinejad. Welcome to my podcast, The World According to Masih, where we explore global events through conversations with outstanding speakers and changemakers. My guest today is Carine Kanimba. You probably have heard of the movie Hotel Rwanda. No? Well, sit tight. After Carine's parents were killed, she was only 1 year old, by the Rwandan genocide. Carine and her sister were adopted by the opposition figure, Paul Rusesabagina. I didn't butcher his name. He's an amazing advocate for freedom and democracy. When Carine's father, Rusesabagina, was kidnapped and tortured by Rwandan government, then it was Carine who fought and advocated for the release of her own father. Today, she's a campaigner, she's an activist, and she is supporting the political prisoners. She is tirelessly working to get the 1 million political prisoners from all authoritarian regimes free from prison. She is recognized by many organizations globally. She received Courage Award from the Renewed Democracy Initiative, from Magnitsky Justice Award for the Young Activists. Now Carine is the spokesperson of World Liberty Congress, an organization which united the dissidents and activists from 56 authoritarian regimes. This conversation is full of pain and power. Don't miss this. It is fascinating.
Immediately, these military guys, Rwandan military, walked in, tied him up, blindfolded him. He started screaming, hoping that the flight attendants could hear and witness.
I want the youth in America, in the UK, when they hear this, to understand that how miles away, when we fight against dictators, people say, go and have fun. They're not going to bother us. We are here. You are in the UK. I'm in New York. We're being followed, like physically.
The headline said that my father is a terrorist. And I thought, are you kidding me? He's a human rights activist. All he does is talk about peace, humanitarianism, dialogue, and reconciliation. How can he be a terrorist? Our voices comes with responsibility. Our platforms come with responsibility to speak on behalf of those who don't have the same platform.
I practice this a lot. Carine Kanimba.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to start an amazing conversation. I know that people butcher my name a lot. I promised myself that I'm not going to butcher your name. So before actually starting this conversation, the cameraman said that I was practicing Carine's stepfather's name. Father, you say?
Yes.
And I actually butchered the name. And the cameraman actually said that, wow, I know your father. Tell me about it. How did you feel? So his name?
His name.
No. Wait. I wrote in Persian. Paul Rusesabagina.
Yes, well done. Yes, his name is Paul Rusesabagina, and his story was told in the film Hotel Rwanda. And so that's why many people know about his name, which is still difficult to pronounce for many people, despite knowing the story. And the story tells, the movie talks about his role during the genocide in 1994 in Rwanda, where he saved the lives of 1,276 people in his hotel in the midst of the genocide. He welcomed everyone in the hotel, whoever could make it to the front doors of the hotels, and who needed saving, who needed safety. He opened the doors. He risked his own life for 76 days by every day the militia. So just to give the background, in 1994 in Rwanda, we had the worst genocide because of the 20th century, because of the speed. It took 3 months, and in 3 months, over 1 million people were killed. It's the fastest genocide of the 20th century, and it happened after years of tension between both ethnic groups. So Rwanda is made up of Tutsis and Hutus. And in 1994...
And your father was part of the Hutus group, correct?
He was a Hutu. He's a Hutu, yes. And the Hutu extremists were exterminating the Tutsis. The goal to exterminate the Tutsis, the goal to remove them from the country and fully take control. But there's a very important distinction that it was the extremist Hutus who were doing it, because people like my father, many of them, including him, including others, had nothing to do with the killing. In fact, they were victims themselves, and they still took a stand and used their identity as Hutus to protect others who needed saving, like a lot of people in my family.
A lot of people, my friends, when I mention about Hotel Rwanda, they're like, immediately get the story. We watched it. They know your father is a hero. Did you watch it, and how difficult was for you to watch the movie?
Yes, I watched it many times.
Wow, okay.
The first time was very difficult. It was, I think, 2003, a few months before it came out into the cinema. And my father, showed it to our entire family. Before that, the filming had been going on, so we were aware of something that was being produced, but I was very young at the time, so I didn't really care. All I knew was that Don Cheadle, who played my father in the movie, had just filmed Ocean's 11, and I loved Ocean's 11, so I was like, okay, yes. And I remember one time Don Cheadle came to our house in Brussels at the time, and he was learning my father's tricks, because the goal was to play his role in the movie. So he wanted to know how he behaves. He was studying him very attentively so he could best portray his role in the film. And so we're sitting at the dinner table, and I didn't speak English at the time, so my observation was body language, and he was observing my father. My father has a tendency to go like this as a poster.
I've hugged him. I love him. Okay,
and so he did like this, and he has specific movement when he starts to speak, with his hands. And so Don was observing him, and then maybe a few minutes, maybe an hour later, as my father was speaking and doing his movement, we could see Don already picking up some of these things, and it was very cool to see that.
So although you were not able to understand the language, you were part of the process of making the whole movie.
Yes. I got to witness him in action, which it was very impressive. And the other exciting thing at the time, in my young mind,
how old were you that time?
I was 10 years old. And so then we went to the Randplatz, which is this plaza in Brussels, which is like a historic plaza, very touristic, but it has really, it's nice. If you go to Brussels, this is the kind of things that you have to go and check out. And everyone was following the Ocean's 11 star is here and Ocean's 11 star is here. And we're just like, wow, this is really cool. But at the time, I didn't understand the importance of what they were doing, how big the movie would become, and also the tragic story of my father as well.
But it was a tragic story for sure. But many people from even Hutu group tried to actually stop the genocide. So that's why your father became a hero, because the Hotel Rwanda actually took the attention of the rest of the world, gave him the platform, and after that, not only he became the target of the dictator.
Yes. So the movie itself was a lesson. It served as a lesson for people to learn about what happened during the genocide in 1994 in Rwanda, and also to teach that even one man can make a difference, that people can stand up. You can be alone, you can bring other people with you, but you have to take a stand. And also just what humanity, what love and people can do when there is, when they come together and when they take a stand. Yeah. And so really the movie itself has very strong lessons, and that's why it became popular around the world.
Exactly. As I told you, what actually got me is we are human rights activists. We try to tell the truth. We try to say that dictators are lying. We try to say that stop lying. The most beautiful moment is your father using different tactics to lie to the oppressors to save their lives, giving them alcohol, tell me about it.
Yes. So
the trick that he used to save the lives of innocent people there, phenomenal.
Yes. So as the people were hiding in the hotel, every day the militia, the Interahamwe, we call them, would come in and try to enter so that they could kill everyone. The goal is they knew everyone around the hotel had already been killed. They had destroyed and taken over the different buildings and so on around the hotel. But because the hotel was known first as a diplomatic hotel before the genocide, so it was already like looked at very cautiously by the killers. But also they knew that my father was a Hutu who was there in there. So they assumed maybe inside everyone there is Hutu. So we're not...
So what kind of trust was there?
Yes. So then they found out that there were Tutsis also hiding in the hotel and that there were actually that he was sheltering a lot of people. So they tried every day, they would try and come and break in and kill them. And he would sit them down and say, you know what, how about this? I'll give you a glass of gin or a glass of whiskey and then you can take the bottle with you and then maybe we can talk about it tomorrow. So they would get distracted, have a drink and they're like, okay, we go. And the next day they come back again and then he gives them whatever he could give them or tell them so that they could go again. And he did this for 76 days. And at some point they cut off their electricity in the hotel. They cut off the water. So the people had to drink pool water in order to survive. I mean, for the entire time during the genocide, my father was making calls around the world to saying anyone who could intervene to help and end this. And so those are the tricks that he used, but he really just used his words. He spoke to them.
I want to tell your story as well. How do you introduce yourself? Like you go there, I'm the daughter. I would love to like hear you introducing yourself.
Yes. I mean, I am Carine Kanimba, and I'm a human rights activist.
You're more than this. Come on.
I am the daughter of Paul Rusesabagina.
I love it.
Yes. And he. So you were asking earlier about how he became the enemy of the regime, right? And
I will get there. Now, this is your story, darling. This is your story.
Oh, my story.
Again, you got back. I'm the daughter of. I love that. Even when I met your father, even I wanted to say, I'm the daughter of. He is kind. He is beautiful. Even he was sitting over there. I felt hugged by his smile.
Yeah.
I know that, but I want to hear your story, my sister.
Yeah.
You lost your parents. We were talking here. I was even hesitate to say stepfather. So you lost your parents when you were 1 year old?
Yes.
So tell me about it.
So
in the genocide.
During the genocide, yes. Both my biological parents were killed because they were Tutsi during the genocide. So they were some of the victims of the genocide. At the time, I was in Kigali with them at the start of the genocide, and we had been told, my family had been told that the Tutsis were going to be taken to safety. So we followed the instructions. We went into the streets. It was my father, my mother, my sister Anais, and another aunt. They took us into the street, but we found out that it was a trap, and so they shot at everyone. And that's when
and you were.
I was 1 year old at the time, and
you were not there with them.
I was there, but I wasn't killed at the time. My father was killed, so one of the bullets hit him. He died immediately, and so my mom, my sister, and I went back into the house, and my aunt, and then we stayed in the house until later on the killers found out that there were people still alive. So they came, they knocked on the door, and my mom had hidden us with my aunt, and so they took her away, and so they took her to kill her, and so then my aunt went to look for help. She left my sister and I. It was too dangerous to carry us with her in the streets and potentially be killed along the way. There were a lot of roadblocks at every turn, and she eventually got help. After a few days, people came to pick us up. We were babies, and they took us to a refugee camp for the rest of the genocide, where at the time, of course, we were malnourished, we were skinny, we were hungry, we were sick. We had been alone for a few days before they came back to get us. And my father and my mother, my adoptive father and my adoptive mother, Paul Rusesabagina and Tatiana, found out that we were at that refugee camp. So at the time, they had been looking for us and saying, we know that the girls are still alive.
So this story was out there. They knew that.
Yes.
And that's how your adopted father, my amazing father too, now I'm using the name father, not adopted. So he found you and your sister. And I love your sister. Next time you have to be here as well.
Anais.
I want to hug you as well. She's amazing. She's an amazing activist. So, and then tell me the rest. So you don't remember those times.
I don't remember.
Who told you the story and what happened?
Yes. So when I was 6 or 7 years old, my mother, my adoptive mother, thought it was very important for my sister and I to know the story at a young age. That to know not only our parents, our biological parents, to preserve their memory, to know and learn to love them.
That's beautiful.
And also I carry their names proudly. My name is Carine Kanimba. My father's name was Thomas Kanimba. And so we always had these questions like, how come the rest of our family is Rusesabagina, but Anais and I are Kanimbas? And so my mom sat us down and she said, I have one picture of your parents.
You do have that?
Yes. And everything else was burnt. So it's the war, the genocide. So we only had one picture. And so she showed us one picture of my mom and one picture of my father. And she showed us those two pictures and she said, this is your mom and this is your dad. And we were shocked because we're like, wait, I thought you were my mom. I thought you were my dad.
You're fucking strong.
Yeah, you are strong. I've been raised by incredibly strong parents, so they've given me all the strength that I can gather.
I'm now adult. When I see, because I can't see the picture of my parents, I mean, secretly my brother sent it to me. When I see their picture, I get really emotional. Yeah. So fucking proud of you. So then you saw the picture.
I saw the picture and she explained what happened to them. She told us the story of how they were killed and how we came to be adopted. And she said, most importantly, we must preserve their memories. And so from that point on, they would tell us stories of how my dad was as a child, how he was funny. Apparently he was a smoker. And so he would always tell all these things about, and so we would always ask questions. And so I grew up learning more and more about my biological parents through my mom and her siblings, my aunts and uncles. And so I've always loved them from that moment on. And so that's how I learned of what happened to them.
I love that from early age, they started actually to teach you about it instead of hiding, to do good for you. Because before his being kidnapped by dictators, from Rwandan dictator, then suddenly you were like, I'm going to follow the path of this father. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the transition, because it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Even me, it's difficult, for me to convince my brother, my son, stay strong. But after your father being kidnapped, which we're gonna now hear from you, you decided to shift your life from a finance woman to, and being an activist.
Yeah, so throughout my entire life since 2004, since my father gained the platform of Hotel Rwanda, I watched as he traveled the world speaking about not only the lessons of the genocide, but also speaking out for the people of Rwanda. And so I always saw how bravely he would talk about the abuses of human rights, the letters he would receive from people asking for him to use his platform to speak about them, and then the attacks that he received. Yet he was always very calm, always very measured and respectful, and explaining the situation, but also raising the alarm, saying, if you don't pay attention to what the dictator is doing, something will happen. And
every single day.
Every day. And so but then at the same time, he thought, the kids have already experienced the genocide. They need to have as easy as a life as possible.
Oh, that's why.
So he wanted to give us shelter. He wanted to give us peace.
Stay away from,
Yes. He said he would educate us. He would tell us about the situation very clearly and without shying away from the graphic nature of the evil acts of the regime. But he would say, live your life but just be aware of what this is.
Another lesson for me now. I should not push my son or my stepchildren that care about people.
They know and they care. I'm sure he listens, he knows, and he cares. And so this is what you're bringing to him as a mom. And so I would also always pretend to my dad, yeah, sure. I'm listening, but I was paying very clearly attention.
You did.
And so they tried to assassinate him several times. They've broken into our home several times. But again, he to protect us, had sent us to the U.S. To study, and then I ended up going to university in the U.S. and then I started working in finance. I was living in New York City. Just having fun with my girlfriends, traveling the world. Really,
that's why I'm like, I want to know, because I was talking to Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader of Venezuela, Svetlana, the Belarusian opposition leader. And that was my question. I want to know that, how they deal with their children. That's why I was like, this time is opposite. I'm going to ask the daughter of a famous activist, dissident, famous leader, hero, that how come you were not involved in activism?
No, I wasn't
doing your girly thing in New York.
I was just working. I was having the time of my life in New York. I was just dancing, going out, seeing my friends. I was very carefree, but always listening to what my father would tell us, right? Always telling. And in fact, he was always really concerned for my safety and my siblings' safety, because he knew he was a vocal critic of the regime, and this regime that had already tried to hurt him and our family several times. So, but we would always say, like, Dad, you're exaggerating. Like, I'm fine. I'm in New York. Like, what could
nothing
they do?
Gonna happen
like,
to me.
Yeah, and even for him, it's like they've tried to hurt you, but like here you are, and you're fine, and you're strong.
Story.
And the reality is that he was right to warn us. He was right, and we should have even paid more attention than we did, because what happened in 2020 changed the entire course of my life, especially his, of course. But they kidnapped him.
I want to listen about the details. It's very personal to me. So for years and years, dictators using this tool to actually not just like hurting your father, silencing him, but that's going to be an example for other dissidents, other activists from authoritarian regime. This is what going to happen to you. So for years and years, I downplayed the same thing. As you said, I was like, no, nothing going to happen to me. I'm in America. Yeah. I'm safe. I used to go to university here, Oxford, Brookes University, telling my friend that nothing gonna happen to me. I'm gonna dance. And then I'm gonna echo the voice of my people. I'm gonna tell them you can dance. I'm gonna show my hair. I'm gonna tell women you can show your hair. Nothing gonna happen. I have a voice. And then suddenly the killers was in front of my house. So putting the lives of my son, my stepchildren, my friends, my family at risk, in danger. So I downplayed that. Yeah. Your father was going and giving a speech everywhere, like being invited by churches, I think, and like feeling safe and doing this. And suddenly he believed them. He thought that he was invited to give another speech, and suddenly the kidnappers were the inviters, correct?
Yes.
So tell the story, because no one believed that this is going to happen on U.S. soil, on UK soil. Yes.
So for 2 years, a man showed up at 2 years before the kidnapping. A man showed up to our house that was in Belgium, in Brussels, and he called himself a priest. My father is quite religious. He's really a man of faith, so he believed this guy and he welcomed him. They became friends. This guy would try to learn.
I got chills.
Yeah, they really played on his faith to hurt him.
And he was an agent.
He was an agent of the regime. He was an agent of the regime who had already been sent to basically gain his trust for 2 years until he orchestrated the kidnapping. So he invited my father to speak at churches in Burundi.
In where?
Burundi.
So he was in the U.S. by then?
He was in the U.S. at
New
the
York.
time. Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in
invited
Texas.
To go to, oh my God.
To Burundi. And the reality, because Burundi has a very similar history to Rwanda. They have Hutus and Tutsis.
We have the same, darling. It's in Iran. If they want to kidnap you, like for instance, one of my friends, Ruhollah Azam, father of 2 kids, just giving voice to voiceless people. So they took him to Iraq. Same history. It's like, the safest space.
Yeah.
This is like their proxy.
Yeah.
In my case, they wanted the kidnappers who were stopped by the FBI. They were planning to take me to Venezuela.
Oh, wow.
So in your case, explain why they pick the country that they know that they can, do whatever they want.
Yes, but slightly different, because this guy was actually, he's Burundian, but he was an operative of the Rwandan government. So he was an agent of the government of Rwanda.
Okay.
So he used the fact that Burundi was a neighboring country with a similar history of Rwanda, because my father spoke about reconciliation of the Tutsis and Hutus. And so Burundians needed to hear him speak as well, because there is a similar story of the need to reconcile a people. And so my dad, who's always open to speaking up, always open to talking, to bringing dialogue together, agreed to go. And in fact, this guy had been paid, orchestrated by the regime. The intelligence operation by the Rwandan government was to have him flown from Dubai to Rwanda instead of Burundi. So my father flew from Texas to Dubai, and in Dubai he got onto a plane which instead took him to Rwanda. And upon landing in Rwanda, when he got onto the plane, they gave him a drink which made him fall asleep. And so they drugged him. And when he landed in Rwanda, that's when he woke up and he saw the cell tower of Kigali. And then immediately these military guys, Rwandan military, walked in, tied him up, blindfolded him. He started screaming, hoping that the flight attendants could hear and witness this so that they can go and speak about it. And nothing, they just let him go. And then they threw my father in a truck and then took him to a house, a torture house, where he was tortured for 4 days. So during those days, we had no idea where he was.
And you were in New York with your sister?
I was in Washington with my sister at that time.
And you had no idea, and then you started to find out, and then you started to shift your work life from finance to activism.
I woke up one morning on August 31st in 2020 and turned on the television. Everyone was messaging me, your father is in Rwanda. And when I turned on this television, I saw on CNN Paul Rusesabagina arrested in Rwanda, accused of terrorism. And then I saw images of him in handcuffs being paraded in front of the media.
The same pictures. We've seen this movie a lot.
Yes.
Ruhollah Zam, Jamshid Sharmat. Like a lot of activists, we saw their picture on TV and we were shocked.
How did they get there?
Handcuffed, doing false confession on TV, denouncing themselves. That happened the same to your father as well, like the same tactic?
They tried to have him, for those 4 days when he was in that torture house, they tried to force him to sign false confessions. So that was what they were doing.
Same playbook for dictators.
They asked him, you have to say that you did this, that you did this. My father refused, so they continued to torture him. And then when they realized that he was still refusing, they were like, okay, then give us all your international contacts, all your contacts in Europe, in America, in Africa, so that they basically just wanted to know who he knew and so on.
And then you saw him on CNN. Then you found out your father is not in America anymore.
Yes. And I was shocked. I knew that if he's in Rwanda, the same dictatorship that had been trying to kill him many times, that had broken into our home, that had threatened him, was now holding him in handcuffs. I could only imagine the worst. And the worst was in fact happening. He was being tortured every day, physically, psychologically. They wanted to break him. One, they wanted to break him. Two, they wanted to destroy his image, to destroy his credibility.
But Carine, that was the same dictators. They killed your own father. They killed your own mother.
It's a different
dictatorship.
Yeah. Oh.
This is the same playbooks, the same playbooks. Authoritarian regimes, the same mindset people that you don't think like me, you deserve to be dead. So for you, you've seen that. Then why you're here? Why you're risking your life? Why you started that time saying that I want to be the voice of my father? You've seen your father suffered. You've seen the genocide story. What is in you saying that, no, I don't want to keep silent. I want to do this. I want to be the voice of my father. And what was the first thing? You have to be honest with me. What was the first time that you said, I'm going to go on TV, I'm going to go on media, I'm going to talk about my father?
Immediately on August 31st, because the headline said that my father is a terrorist. And I thought, are you kidding me? He's a human rights activist. All he does is talk about peace, humanitarianism, dialogue, and reconciliation. How can he be a terrorist? And so I wanted to set the record straight. And I know that the Rwandan regime lies. I knew of their tactics. So I said, if they're going to go say this, then I know him. I'm his daughter. I will go on TV and tell the truth. And so
immediately,
and I was
your first interview. I want to know this because this is not easy. This is not easy. You've seen everyone in front of your eyes dead. And now you say immediately.
Yes, and I was there with my sister, so I have to be. She was with me. We decided this together because we knew we had to do it.
I feel now bad because I always see you two together. You're here in my heart. You're with me.
Here. She's always here. And so it was a CNN interview because that's where we saw the headlines, and they wanted to hear from us as well. And so we were so bad. We had never done interviews before. I mean, after that, we took probably hundreds after that. But I remember like the camera was just even facing the window. So the light was bright and you could barely see our faces, but we had no idea. All we wanted to do is like get on camera and tell them the truth, tell them who he was and how the fact that we didn't even know how he got to Rwanda. So it wasn't an arrest, it was a kidnapping. So let's even start there. And so we did this interview and then, but it wasn't just the media piece. It was also we needed to get him home. It was like we needed not only to set the record straight, but we needed him out of there as soon as possible.
Activism.
Exactly. So this is when we decided we need to gather a team,
create the movement to, because this is when I want the youth in America, in the UK, when they hear this, to understand that how miles away, when we fight against dictators, people say, go and have fun. They're not going to bother us. We are here. You are in the UK. I'm in New York. We're being followed, like physically. Tell me about what happened to your phone when you were advocating for your father.
Yes. So the regime knew that I was going from parliament to parliament, governments to governments, media, TV interviews. So they knew that I was disturbing. I was disturbing them, and we were getting closer because every time there was a new resolution being passed in a different parliament, more people calling for my father's release. And so we were a problem, and they, I guess, wanted to hear what we were doing. I learned that my phone had been inspected with the spyware through a collective of journalists called Forbidden Stories, which was doing a report on how Pegasus is being deployed by authoritarian regime to spy on activists and journalists. And they said, we know Rwanda uses the spyware, but to opposition figures or activists and journalists. So can we check your phone? And we know you're public, so can we check your phone? And at that point, I was like, they've already taken my father. They're hurting him. I'm not surprised that they would do this, but like take the phone. Like I'm sure they're probably spying, but I wasn't.
You didn't have the clue that spying means like.
Yeah, I didn't realize how intrusive this was.
Was it the Human Rights Foundation?
So, and a few months later at the Human Rights Foundation, JSR, the Citizen Lab checked my phone. And so they found the spyware on the phone.
Wow.
And so it was Thor, like after I finished my speech on stage, Thor came on stage and
Thor,
said,
people know. It's like Thor.
Thor, I feel like I think everyone knows Thor, but no. Thor is the president of the Human Rights Foundation.
Human Rights Foundation actually is I always say it's like a home for activists from many authoritarian regimes trying to have normal life, freedom, democracy.
They amplify, they give us a stage, they give activists a stage to speak up about their situation. And I was at the Human Rights Foundation at the Oslo Freedom Forum in 2022, and Thor, the president, comes on stage and says, we did a check on Pegasus spywares of all the people present here at the conference, and we found one phone, and it's Carine's. And of course, I was shocked. I knew I had already spoken to Scott to Citizen Labs who did check on my phone as well. So, but what I really liked about this Thor's intervention on stage is that we got to laugh at Kagame on stage. At the
mocking
dictator.
dictators?
Yes.
It's the best. We got you as well.
Yes. And I think this is such a brilliant way to stand up to dictatorship through humor. And so had you spoken about the situation of my father, which is, my heart was pumping the whole time because I was nervous. I knew that every time I stood on stage, the opportunity to speak about him, to speak about his situation, the opportunity to bring more people to help us advocate for his release, I was very nervous. But then Thor came on and he said, since the spyware is on your phone, should we just talk to Kagame?
That's beautiful. That's the best tactic. And you did?
And we did. And I told him on the phone, speaking into the phone, I said on stage, and I said, just let my father go. Stop the human rights abuses in the country and release my dad.
They replied to this?
And everyone in the audience laughed. And of course, this laughter made it all the way to Rwanda, all the way to the president's office, because they were so pissed that
That's
a whole
beautiful.
audience of people was mocking the
I'm
regime.
learning from you, because this is the best tactic. When actually, oh my God, I was working for Voice of America. I was at 26 Federal Plaza in New York, very busy. So my brother texts me and saying that, I send you another video, beautiful video of mom. You're going to love it. So I tried to open it. It asked me for code. So, and my brother always used to send me like videos of my mom singing, because I can't talk to my mom. So that's the best way of communicating with my mother. So I was excited, but I was working. I was so busy. So I went there. I was like, it's weird. It asked me for code. And my brother said, yes, open, it's me. So I was chatting with him on WhatsApp, and then email was asked, and my brother said, it's me. I said, okay, then I'm going to open it.
Oh.
Then I was like, I actually was about to do it. And I said, but can you just send me audio message? I'm going to make sure this is you. And then I put emoji like laughing, because I was like, my brother is going to laugh. Who's going to spy us? And then my brother said that, my wife is in bed. I cannot talk. So he was typing again. And I said, I'm scared when I'm talking. And then he said, I cannot talk. And I said, it's okay. So I understand. I don't want to wake my sister-in-law. And I said, you know what? Just turn the video. Don't talk. I want to see your face to make sure this is you.
It was good of you to ask.
No response. And I said, Ali, no response. I said, are you there?
Oh, that's so
no
scary.
Response. I called him, no response, and I got panicked. So I called my niece, and I said, I was just chatting with dad, he's not there. And then she was crying loud and saying, they took daddy, his laptop, his mobile, everything. So trying to actually come to my laptop. So, and then I got angry, I didn't mock them. I said, I went back to WhatsApp. I said, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Good. Tell them. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had to laugh. I had to, I showed them I'm angry.
Yeah.
So when
you caught them. Yeah.
They do a lot of pressure, because I instead of laughing. And I remember that laugh was unique. So tell me that, how it feels now from being a finance girl, having that big community of dissidents, human rights, women's rights, and changing your field from finance to activism.
Yeah, just one more thing on this left on this Pegasus is that and perhaps I'll tie it into your question now. It was very scary, right? We're laughing about the situation, right? But the reality is this type of technology used by the same people that were torturing my father. The fact that they were tracking my every move, reading my every message, watching me on the camera, listening to my audio. I was, the reality at first, I was like, of course they can do that. Of course, I'm not surprised. But then,
private, it's disgusting.
When you really look at the details of how invasive and how much control of your life and of your view into your life that they have, it's frightening. And so it shook me. It really shook me.
It's like, I was not talking to my brother. I was talking to them.
Yeah, exactly. They know you're talking to the same people that want to hurt you, and that want to take your life.
Yeah. They did the same thing, like to you, to my son, and my son was like talking. He thought that he was a teenager, has nothing to do with politics. He thought that he was talking to niece and nephews and cousins in Iran. They were like trying to get to me through him, like. That's why you said it's scary, but when you're not alone, when you're being surrounded by human rights activists, then the fear is gone. You use different tactics.
Exactly.
So you like this, or you want to go back to finance? Because now you are being physically followed.
Yeah.
You're being the target as well, no?
Yes, but the reality is that I believe that I have a platform now. I have a platform, and I use this platform to advocate for my father's release. My father is free. My father is now home with our family. We were able to get 20 other people released alongside him. There's so many people who write to me on daily basis asking for us to speak about them, about their situation. The current one of our members, Victoire Ingabire, who's an opposition leader in Rwanda, she ran for president against Kagame, and she tried to run again this past election. He has just been jailed again. And we need to speak about her. We need to speak about others who are being tortured as we speak in prisons. And so with the platform that I've acquired and with the voice that I have and the people.
Why? You're free here. Let's go and have something to drink. Let's have fun.
We have a responsibility.
Why? I want to know. Because a lot of people ask me the same question and they think I'm crazy. They think like, Masih, you don't want to have fun? Like it's my birthday. I had a big birthday party. But all my friends were there and I wanted to post, like have a normal life.
Yeah.
But everyone were like, we're not like dictators are following you. If you post. So I don't have a normal life. You don't have a normal life. What gives you the motivation that I'm going to stand up? I'm going to do this. I want to hear that.
Because our voices comes with responsibility. Our platforms come with responsibility to speak on behalf of those who don't have the same platform. And we can amplify, we can talk about it, and the voice, and it goes far, and we can help them. And so it feels, it is a responsibility, but how can we not use it? How can we go on with our lives as if
it feels what? You were going to say that actually. For me, I feel like more satisfied with myself if I have something like freedom, then I want those who don't have it to have it. Like it feels like I feel good when I do activism, when I say that women of Iran, jump on bicycle, women of Iran, show your hair, because I don't want to forget my childhood, my teenagehood. Everything was there. Your parents, your people were there. You cannot enjoy freedom and think about, none of my business, correct?
Yeah. When my father was in prison, I would always tell myself first that truth always comes out. So despite the accusations of terrorism against him, despite the lies that are being spread, I always knew that the truth always comes out. So no matter how much attacks the regime was throwing my way, there was nothing substantial. So sooner or later, people would be able to see through it. Whether it would take 20 years or 5 years, I was ready for it.
Like your father, a lot of people want to have a normal life. A lot of people want to just, go to university, jump on their bike in the UK, in America, everywhere. And they say that, why should we risk our lives? In America, I want to talk to youth, like taking to university campus, they're amazingly supporting Palestinian. I love it when I see that they're very doing activism, saying I am pro-Palestine. But at the same time, when I say, so come to support women of Afghanistan, being kicked out from university, from school, are not allowed to work. 7 million women being raped because dictators in Africa using rape as a weapon of war to silence women. More than 7 million or
in the DRC now millions of women have been raped.
So my sister talk about
because of the Rwanda dictatorship.
Exactly. So I want you to think about it. The youth in America, the youth in England are there. The division between left and right, the division between Democrat and Republican, the division between liberal. Just think about it. They put political agenda first. How do you convince them? Because sometimes it bothers me, it breaks my heart that when the Women's March happened, I was in the street, happy. And I was calling my friend in Iran saying that I am saying my body, my choice. I am criticizing President Trump, but nobody kills me in the street. And I was so excited. But all the left, they abandoned me when I told them that now take to the street, burn the headscarf, support the women of Iran. They didn't. They blocked me until when women got killed. Masih Amini, 22 years old woman, got killed in the hand of morality police. Some of the politicians show symbolic support. No women's march for women of Iran, for women of Afghanistan, for women of Africa. How would you convince them that if we care about feminism, we care about women's rights, human rights, democracy, lives of innocent people, we should stick together? How?
That's a challenge of our time, right? I mean, we have to.
I'm asking you this question because you're the spokesperson of World Liberty Congress.
Yes.
Where we, alongside dissidents from 56 authoritarian regimes, we got together trying to convince people in the West that if you don't fight against dictators, if you don't stand with us, dictators will follow your own citizen on your soil. But we have challenges about this. That's why I'm asking you to give your thoughts and your struggle.
Yes. I mean, we have to expose these regimes. We have to expose what is happening in our countries, because a lot of people don't realize that it can come home, that it can be happening at their doorsteps as well. And so when I talk about what's happening in Rwanda, when I talk about the way that people are being silenced, the way the journalists are being silenced, the way that people are being kidnapped and tortured and disappeared and killed in Rwanda because they dare to speak out, they think this is something that's far away, all the way over there, But the reality is that if we don't pay attention, it can happen here too. And we see the changes in discourse, we see the changes in what we call democracies, and they're coming to more and more to realize what it is that we've been speaking about all this time. And so, unfortunately, it takes for them to see it at home, for them to understand what we've been talking about and warning about. And I think one of the strategies, what we must push for, is the isolation of these dictators. They must be isolated. We must expose them, isolate them.
Are they doing that? That President Trump is talking to Putin?
I
mean, it's good they killed the high-ranking members of the Islamic Republic. Some people don't support the idea, but I did. But at the same time, they doing this to bring the Islamic Republic on the negotiation table. Putin is...
Exactly. I mean, the Rwandan dictator Kagame is being welcomed with a red carpet in some of the different democracies around the world. They know very well that he's been a dictator for 30 years now. They know what he's doing. In fact, their own governments are writing reports about what's going on in the country, yet they roll out the red carpet.
So that doesn't make you angry?
It makes me super angry. But it makes me super angry. But I think it's also, we have to be able to connect with the people that we are speaking to on their level, right? And sometimes I when I speak to interviewers, I immediately start talking about the situation in Rwanda, and it's distant for them. So we have to get to their level of what they understand, to get them to understand our situation, and only with these types of comparison can they finally open their eyes and say, oh wow, this is bad, this is bad, we have to do something.
You know why I asked this question? Because I actually interviewed Leopoldo Lopez, the opposition leader from Venezuela, Garry Kasparov, Russian opposition, and recently Maria Corina Machado and Svetlana, the Belarusian opposition. The same question, the same struggle, the same challenge, that meeting with President Macron, meeting with President Biden, meeting with President Trump, meeting with the leaders of democracies, and they're saying, we stand with the people being oppressed by dictators. And then next, you see that they sit down with our dictators, with our oppressors. And I asked the same question to all of them, that then what should we do? People were in the street in Venezuela, like having hope.
Yeah.
People were in the street in Iran, 2022.
Huge, yeah.
It was huge. Like, people take to the street in Rwanda as well. And everywhere. Yeah. And then suddenly you see all the leaders of democracies are legitimizing the same dictator, going back to the negotiation table, and people in authoritarian regimes getting killed, paying more price, because as soon as the world forget about them, they get executed.
Yeah.
I want to hear about Rwanda now.
Yes. And Rwanda, I mean, it's such a tight dictatorship, militarized dictatorship, that dissent is very, very difficult in the country. And when you do, in fact, some, as I mentioned, there's no free press, there's no free media in Rwanda, and people resort to doing YouTube shows because they cannot have credentials to actually be journalists in the country. And so at some point, there was a group of YouTubers that have been exposing what's happening in the country, the way the regime is hurting people in the deep side outside of Kigali. And they plan to read a book by Sergei Popovich called a book, the Blueprint to Revolution, which is a book about how to peacefully end a dictatorship, how to take down a dictatorship without violence. Peacefully, without violence. And these YouTubers, this group of YouTubers in Rwanda ordered the book. They got the book. The government found out that they had the book, and they were all taken into prison. Now they're still jailed. They're currently sitting in prison.
For peacefully advocating.
For having a book. Not even, they didn't even have time to read the book. They just ordered the book. And Sergei Popovich is one of our in the World Liberty Congress. He's an ally and has been working with our members, with our activists from around the world to talk about this book. And now our people try to learn from this on how to bring about change without violence.
So you don't lose hope. When you still see that now Rwanda's street is empty, Venezuela's street is empty, Iran is empty. What is the next step to get the attention of the world and to still giving voice to voiceless people? Because we both know that they want to get rid of dictatorship.
I think it's important to go step by step. There's you can almost like pick at the wall slowly, brick by brick, then the wall falls down. I think
that's why we're going to Berlin, because the people in democracy think, especially in Germany, thinks that the Berlin Wall, like the fall of the Berlin Wall, is a historical moment. But we, the people from authoritarian regimes, believe that there are a lot of invisible wall, dictatorship, and Berlin is a city of freedom, and they have to understand that it's a gift that you have this, history, and you can lift up other dissidents like you. So imagine now you're talking to democracies. What is one thing that you want from you to hear and help you?
Not to go on like with business as usual. When you meet these dictators and you have the opportunity to hold them accountable, to call into question some of the most evil actions, to call them into question, to put them on the spot, and not to continue on as if you didn't hear it once you hear it, because the reality is that more people continue to suffer when we don't. You asked me earlier why I keep doing, why speaking out, and even though I could go back to my life in finance and away from the activism world.
I get this question a lot. That's why I was like, I'm going to put you in the spotlight.
Yeah, and I think for me, first it started with my father, with the fight for my father's release. And the day that I held him in my hands, in my arms, the day he was freed after almost 950 days being imprisoned, almost 3 years imprisoned, tortured, isolated, mistreated. Even for me and my family, we were living in the darkest moments of our lives where I could not close my eyes knowing that my father was being treated the way that he was. But the day he stepped off that plane and I held him in my arms, I understood that everyone deserves this. Everyone deserves deserves freedom, and we were able to get him freed because we advocated, because we spoke up, because we picked at the wall until the wall fell down, and finally he came home. And I think we have to continue to do this for others who are being who are suffering, who are being mistreated, who are being hurt by the dictators. And so that's why I continue. That's why I continue to receive all these messages and emails from people saying, please speak out. And we have to, because we have a platform and we can bring about freedom for them too.
I had a birthday party last night when they asked me, wish and then blow the candle. What was I had in my mind was that my brother is finally, after 2 years being free from prison. I'm so happy, but I was like wishing that I can hug him. And I'm like, this is fucking 21st century. And that's my wish for my birthday. To hug my brother, to hug my mom. And there are millions of us from authoritarian regimes. Right now that we're talking, because I know this is a personal thing to your heart, there are 1 million political prisoners living under authoritarian regimes. It's like entire country. So, but you still want every single family members. So you're fighting for me as well.
Absolutely.
What gives you because you said you get angry as well. You said singing. What gives you the power not to lose your energy when you see the democracies shaking hands with dictators, shaking hands with the killers. Because I'm not going to censor myself. I get mad when I see President Macron shake the hand of our killers. And then when I was meeting him, he was going to shake my hand. I said, this is the same hand? I'm not going to shake. So I talk my heart. I know, I talk my heart, but sometimes then they isolate you because some leaders want to always just get like, we stand with you, we do this, and you have to appreciate it. No, I want concrete actions. So sometimes I lose energy, but I criticize and I use my social media to get my energy back because this is the right thing we do. What gives you energy?
So I think there's always something that you can do. There's always something. Even if Macron is not going to listen, there is someone else who will listen. And that person, maybe Macron will listen to that person. For example, Rwanda does sports washing. So they organize athletic events. They are organizing the World Cycling Championship in a few weeks. They are sponsoring football teams like Arsenal and PSG in France. And these teams are obviously helping Rwanda cleanse its image, trying to get people to distract them from the reality.
Their murderous regime.
But then you have this one team, FC Bayern, that said, no, we're not having it.
I love it.
This country is abusing its people. This country is invading the Democratic Republic of the Congo, killing millions. They are kidnapping human rights activists. They are jailing innocent people. We will not be sponsored by this team. And this is the fans standing up saying, we don't want this. And then you have banners in the middle of the games where they're saying, we don't want to work with the dictatorship, with the Rwandan dictatorship. And so maybe the other three teams didn't listen, but this one did. And so when we talk about the fact that what gives you the energy, this guy was not going to listen. I'll talk to the other one. I'll talk to the other one. There's always something that you can do.
You're positive. And I want everyone to listen to the entire conversation and pick 3 things that you learned from Carine. I learned myself being positive, mocking dictators, not like me saying, fuck you, dictators, fuck you, the leaders. I use this because I get angry, because I believe I represent the anger of the youth in Iran facing rape. And I see the female politicians going to my country, wearing hijab, bowing to dictators. At the same time, teenager burning the headscarf. But I learned from you as well, because I use this. So when the women of Afghanistan now are fighting against gender apartheid, when I see that no one listened to them, I said that I'm going to create a campaign, United Against Gender Apartheid, bringing women together. Guess what? I sent letter to a lot of female politicians in the West, and I sent letter to policymakers in European Parliament, everywhere, and I said, make a video. Help us. I was with Hillary Clinton at Munich Security Conference, and I said that I'm asking you, Hillary Clinton. I'm asking Oprah. I'm asking Michelle Obama. You actually created a campaign called Bring Our Girls Back. You remember?
Yes.
When girls of Nigeria was Boko Haram. Boko Haram is like Taliban. Boko Haram is like Islamic Republic. So, and I asked them to join the women of Afghanistan, women of Iran, to criminalize gender apartheid. None of them make any video. You did. And guess what? Their excuse was apartheid, carrying historical pain and, sorrow. And we should not compare the situation of women of Iran and Afghanistan to apartheid. But you bravely mobilized the women of Africa. It was not you. You just made the video. You said, yes, we suffered a lot, but we believe that we have to support our sisters in Afghanistan.
Absolutely. We need to stand together as women. Your suffering is my suffering. And we need to recognize this, that our voices collectively together can stand up against this evil. And I believe that the campaign, the gender apartheid campaign.
Why the Western politicians having the opportunity, not recognizing apartheid under Taliban and Islamic Republic, not talking about this, because they say that if we do that, we're criticizing President Biden. The right wing say that if we do that, this is MAGA people, this is all about, no, we don't care about. But how come you, people who suffered a lot, you care about like other people suffering, but not them? I don't want you to really criticize them. I don't want to put you on that spot, but
yeah, I mean, we are suffering too. Our women of Africa are also dealing with discrimination. They're also dealing with things that are we have a very similar path, and so there's a lot of violence against women, as you mentioned, in the DRC, in Kenya, across the continent, and so when we hear of other women being treated that as such, we feel it too, and so we speak out because we know what it feels. And I don't think you have to know or have felt it to stand up, but I think we can communicate it to them. And if all of us bring our voices together, then they will hear us.
Of course. I want the feminists to listen to the story of women of Africa, women of Iran, women of Afghanistan, and to understand that I say that if you don't, we're fighting for all women. We believe that if we don't end apartheid, if we don't end extremism, then we should definitely challenge them on US soil, on UK soil. So we're sacrificing our lives to make the world a better place for every single woman.
And one thing that I would say as well is that we don't always have to look at the Americans or the Europeans to make the change. I think if we in Africa, across the continent, make the change, if we we do it ourselves, then we don't need somebody else to recognize our pain. We don't need them to recognize, but they will too. They will eventually understand.
Fantastic.
They will follow suit.
I love that.
But I think it's very important to lead this movement at home and to get this recognition at home.
You know what I always say to the democracies? That I don't want you to save us. I want you to stop saving our dictators. Yeah, we start the movement within the country, but at the same time, when democracies legitimize them,
exactly.
Together, we're stronger.
Yes.
So you said something about overcoming your fear and stress when you're going on stage. It's the same. And I want to say that when the regime in Iran actually said that I was raped by 3 men, it was a fake news, but in their mindset, if you get raped, it's your fault. So they were trying to discredit me by saying that Masih was raped by 3 men in London, happily airing this news on the subway. In that moment when you were singing, it just came to my mind that maybe it's a women thing, we sing, because I was so nervous that my mom in the village believed that, and she was worried about me being raped. My husband comes, even checked all the hospital to make sure whether I'm safe. And then he called me and he said, I checked the hospital everywhere that you really got raped or it's a fake news. Yeah. So
I believed it too.
So everyone needed a statement from me.
Yeah.
So, and I went to Subway, the same Subway, and they said that Masih was raped there because Masih undressed herself. So I went to the same Subway and I started to sing. سرزمین من خسته خسته از جفای سرزمین من بی سرود بی صدای سرزمین من دردمند بی دوای. That was my response to the regime, and it means it's an Afghan song. It's not even Iranian. It means my homeland. You're tired of tyranny. You're tired of you're exhausted of oppression, but I carry you, my homeland, on my shoulder, and I take it everywhere. And that's your story as well.
Wow,
Carine, thank you so much. You have a new human being in your life.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next time you have to bring your amazing daughter. Thank you so much. My dream is to invite you to Iran and hug you there and come to your beautiful.
Yes, my dream is to have you in Rwanda too and hug you there.
We're going to make this happen.
Yes.
Give me a hug here. Thank you. We made it. Come on. It was a really good conversation. I enjoyed it.